What are the functions of the skin? Well, it protects, gives you temperature regulation, it gives you sensation and secretion of oil and sweat. The layers of the skin are three. There's the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutis. Most of the skin problems occur in the first and second layer, the epidermis and dermis, a few in the subcutis. The common skin problems, acne, eczema, warts, psoriasis, those all occur in the first two layers there. Skin cell starts at the bottom of the first layer, migrates up the top, takes about 28 days. In people who have a condition called psoriasis, where they get large red itchy patches or on the trunk and extremities and the arms and the legs, and especially on the knees and elbows, those people's migration is as little as 3 to 4 days. So the skin cell never matures. It just goes straight up very quickly, forms a scaly patch, it's quite itchy and red. But generally, the skin cell migrates toward the skin surface and forms a protective barrier. The pigment cell is common in the first layer of skin. You get pigment from either the pigment-containing cell, the numbers, or the amount of transfer of pigment from these cells to the surrounding other cells. So the woman on the left has fewer pigment-containing cells and less amount of pigment within those cells and the cells around them. The evolution of the person from the right to the left, that change in pigmentation, that lightening of skin occurred with a single gene change approximately 8 to 10,000 years ago. So this lightness of skin started about probably 30,000 years after we migrated out of Africa. So the woman on the right is African or African American. She has good protection, lots of pigment cells, lots of pigmentation to protect herself from the sun. So the pigment function was to protect you. So if anybody was born as an albino with no color in Central Africa, unless they're protected, they get skin cancer at a young age and die. It's a self-selecting thing that they will not survive. So that is why you have darker people generally in areas of more sunlight. And as you go into Northern Europe, you get lighter. And that's because if you are born with dark skin in Sweden and you don't get enough sunlight to produce vitamin D, you get rickets and you die. So that's kind of the evolutionary basis of skin color. But it started as one gene change approximately 10,000 years ago. The hair follicle and sweat gland and oil glands. The oil glands are always associated with the hair shaft, and that little canal that goes from the hair, sebaceous oil gland into the canal of the hair. That's the origins of acne. Acne originates that deep. So superficial therapies that don't get in that deep don't work. So you can scrub as much as you want and wash the face as much as you want. You'll never get deep enough for that to work. So that is a real problem that people don't quite understand much about acne. The sun is very important. Not important to most of you because you're not used to talking about it or using sunscreen. That's probably the most important thing I can tell you to do today. So the sun is a giver of life and the taker away of life. The risk of sunburn is greatest between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Up to 90% of sunlight can penetrate cloudy or overcast days. Some light fabrics and wet clothes, not cloth, sorry, that's a typo, can transmit a large amount of sunlight to the skin. Hats and beach umbrellas do not provide full protection, and sunlight is reflected by sand, water, porch decks, and snow. There's 3 kinds of radiation with the sun. There's UV radiation of C, B, and A. And the wavelengths are between 200 to 400 nanometers. UVC is absorbed by the ozone layer and do not reach the skin surface. UVB and UVA rays are responsible for a variety of biological effects. Mostly it's UVB and UVA. UVB penetrates not as deeply. UVA penetrates quite a bit deeper in the skin. So it's a combination of both that give you some of the changes that may not be very positive for you. There you go. UVC gets blocked way high up. UVB reaches the bottom of the epidermis, and UVA goes all the way down to the dermis. Nothing really reaches the fat layer called subcutis. That subcutis means below skin. What damage can be caused by ultraviolet radiation? UVB rays are mostly absorbed on the top layers, can cause skin cancer if you get too much of them. produces sunburn, tanning, photoaging, and photo damage. UVA rays penetrate deeper, intensify the damage of the B guys, may contribute to skin cancer, and can cause long-term damage such as premature skin aging, dryness, roughness, wrinkling, and sunspots. So combined, they're a pretty potent combination.